Senate Republicans filibustered a crucial package of election reforms, and then two Democrats joined them in blocking changes to the filibuster that would have allowed voting rights legislation to pass with a simple majority, all of which came on the same day Joe Biden held a marathon press conference to jumpstart his agenda. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. Well, last night was not a great night for democracy. Senate Republicans blocked much-needed election reforms essential to safeguarding our democracy, and then two Democrats, Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, helped them block rule changes that would have allowed the voting rights bill to pass. And because Manchin and Sinema had already announced their opposition, the votes were so anticlimactic, even news anchors had a hard time pretending there was much suspense.
So here's our breaking news right now. The effort to change the filibuster rule in the Senate failed, as expected.
Hey, CNN, as a rule, you can't put the words breaking news and as expected in the same sentence. It's like running a banner during New Year's Eve saying breaking news, Andy and Anderson go off script. Who gave them tequila? So to recap, Senate Republicans representing a minority of Americans filibustered voting rights legislation favored by a majority of Americans, which would have passed if not for the filibuster. So Senate Democrats, who represent a majority of Americans, then tried to change the filibuster, but they couldn't because two Democrats who voted for the voting rights bill also voted to keep the filibuster, which prevents them from passing the voting rights bill they support. And let me be clear, that is a sentence that makes no sense whatsoever. I checked 3 times with Wally to make sure the cue cards were correct, and he said they were, although he did misspell the word filibuster.
Sorry, Seth, that's a tough word.
And the word?
Hey, baby, I gotta stay on camera somehow. Wink.
I hope at the very least this is a moment when we can step back to fully digest just how ass backwards our system is. Anytime you try to explain American democracy to someone, you sound like an Amazon Echo that got dropped in the toilet. Alexa, what's a democracy?
A democracy is a system of government where a majority of people vote for something and then a small group of senators ignore them and do whatever they want.
Hey, Alexa! Whoa! Watch the language, Alexa!
Sorry, Seth. I'm just so over this mother filibuster cluster.
Okay. Hey, Alexa. Hey, Alexa, while I have you, are you recording and saving everything I say in the privacy of my own home?
Sorry. I have to take this call. It's my, mom.
Okay. I knew it! It was sad but predictable that Republicans would torpedo basic voting rights legislation, but what's especially infuriating is that two Democrats, Manchin and Sinema, announced that they would join Republicans in shooting down rule changes that would have allowed the bill they say they support to pass. In fact, Manchin announced his opposition to changing the filibuster rules in yet another grandstanding floor speech yesterday, where he said a bunch of meaningless nonsense next to a big old poster.
The Senate has followed its own rule book when making changes that affect legislative debate. We've changed rules we've all talked about how many times rules have been changed. We've changed them, but we've changed them with the rules. We didn't break the rules to change the rules. I cannot support such a perilous course for this nation when elected leaders are sent to Washington to unite our country, not to divide our country. We're called the United States, not the divided states.
Dude, you're from West Virginia. You're literally from a divided state, but yes. The country is called the United States, not the divided states, which is truly a searing insight. Where'd you get that nifty saying, Bartlett's rejected quotations? So what's with the big old dumb poster? Are we supposed to be reading the sign while you talk? I feel like I'm reading the subtitles during an episode of Succession while also trying to watch what happens, which in fairness is what I do because I sometimes have trouble understanding Brian Cox when he talks super fast with a Scottish accent. He should be a voice option on your GPS. In 100 meters, take a left. You whatever, I'm kidding, but seriously, go right way here. Off. Also, please stop whining about bipartisan. You know what? I'm realizing Alexa gets her language from me. She learned it from me, Dad. Also, please stop whining about bipartisanship. First of all, bipartisanship means appealing to the other side, not joining it. And when it comes to voting, there's only one side. Republicans are the one's waging war on democracy. You can't compromise with the side that's doing the damage. When you're putting out a fire, you don't call the fire department and the arsonist and see what they can work out together. Republicans are the one passing bills across the country along strict party lines that would allow them to suppress votes and subvert future elections. And if we don't do something to stop them, they're going to try another coup. What makes you think 2020 was a one-off? Do you think Donald Trump, of all people, is going to say, oh, well, that didn't work out, let's do it fair and square next time? The guy has never not cheated at anything in his life. When he gets his height measured, he uses hydraulics.
8'3", just like I thought. Now I just have to decide between the Knicks and the Lakers.
Also, it's just mind-numbingly stupid that Manchin and Sinema keep saying they support the actual voting rights legislation but oppose taking the steps to pass it, as Senator Bernie Sanders made clear in a blistering speech yesterday where he called out Manchin and Sinema specifically.
Is changing the Senate rules a radical idea? Oh, my God. First time in history we're about to do it. Never been done before. Oh, well, really, not quite. No, as every member of the Senate knows, the rules get changed on a fairly regular basis. Nothing radical about it. If you think this bill makes sense, and if you're worried about the future of American democracy, and if you're prepared to vote for the bill, then why are you wasting everybody's time and not voting for the rule change that allows us to pass the bill? You know, it's like inviting somebody to lunch, putting out a great spread, and saying you can't eat.
And I, for one, am betting Bernie has been in that situation before. Oh, Bernie, you're here early. The food is out, but don't eat yet. That's for after cocktails. Oh, well, I wouldn't want to upset the delicate balancing act you're undertaking at this party. Let me be clear. I'm here to eat the food and then get the hell out before anyone shows up, because my least favorite part of a dinner party is the other people. Now, if you will stay on the side, I brought my own fork. This vote was a blow, of course, not just to American democracy, but to President Biden's agenda, which he's desperately trying to jumpstart as he enters year 2 of his presidency. Yesterday, he tried to hit the reset button on his presidency by holding a marathon press conference that set a presidential record.
Today, President Joe Biden marked 1 year in office by holding his 10th press conference. It ended up being the longest in presidential history. It lasted for 1 hour and 51 minutes.
Wow, I'm sorry, but how is that possible? It was longer than all of Trump's press conferences? I feel like every Trump press conference lasted either 10 seconds or 4 days. Trump would either slink away without taking any questions, or he'd stand there for hours with his chest puffed out like one of those jacked kangaroos challenging all the other kangaroos to a fight. And yet somehow Biden set the record yesterday when he defended his administration's accomplishments, including the American Rescue Plan and the bipartisan infrastructure bill, among others. Although I'm not sure he did himself any favors when he said one big reason he hadn't gotten even more done in his first year was that he hadn't expected so much stonewalling from Republicans.
I did not anticipate that there'd be such a stalwart effort to make sure that the most important thing was that President Biden didn't get anything done.
Why did you not anticipate that? You're not a teenage idealist who just got off the bus. You're a 79-year-old man who's been doing this your entire adult life. Were you not paying attention during the Obama presidency, or were you just too busy giving everyone finger guns, like you were making sure they had enough booze at a house party? Randy, you need another marg? How about you, Steve? There's a beer over there in the cooler. Help yourself. I'm going skinny dipping later if anyone wants in. Who's gonna stop me? The Republicans? What? They are? Why? That's their sole purpose in life? It's especially frustrating because Biden does have successes to celebrate. For example, the Biden administration just launched an easy-to-use website where all Americans can order free rapid tests, and the rollout has been very smooth.
The federal government's website for free COVID tests has gone live. In a soft launch, the White House began taking orders for up to 4 tests per household.
The federal government's website to order rapid tests, covidtest.gov, is live. People can order up to 4 tests per household, which will ship within 7 to 12 days.
Just a day after the launch of covidtest.gov, about 27 million Americans filling out that online order form for 4 free at-home COVID tests per household.
27 million people signed up in one day. That's amazing. The only way they could have gotten a better response is by offering the test via Wordle. Wordle might be a little hotter in the office than it is in the world at large. I really hope hope Democrats take away a lesson from this. It's easy to give people things for free that make their lives better, and we should do it more often. Just think how big a success it is. An easy-to-use government program where the website doesn't crash, and all you have to do is enter your name and address, and you get an essential healthcare product delivered to you in the mail for free in a few weeks. That's like something you'd hear about in Sweden or Denmark. Americans aren't used to getting things there for free, unless they're shot out of a cannon at a basketball game. I'm half expecting to hear this when I open the package with my free test kits. Now that interesting fact is not the real song. We couldn't afford the rights to the real song because we had to pay Wally for his 2 lines tonight.
Y'all ready for me?
Oh, it's a crazy, crazy world when you got Wordle here and Wally here. Also, that was your 3rd line, Wally. Now all we can afford is this. Republicans are weaponizing the big lie that the 2020 election was stolen by passing a raft of laws across the country that would allow them to suppress votes and subvert future elections. You can't say you're for protecting democracy if you're not for taking the steps necessary to actually get it done. If we don't do something now, Democrats and anyone who cares about democracy are going to be hearing a lot more of this. This has been a closer look. God's Love We Deliver cooks and brings over 2 million meals a year to men, women, and children living with HIV/AIDS, cancer, and other serious illnesses, and they need your help now more than ever. If you're watching this online, you can hit the donate button. Stay safe, get vaccinated. We love you.